Da-da-da. Hi, everybody. Smokey here. Gee, it's been a while since I've gotten to see you guys, you know? Now, the reason I'm here is because earlier today I was feeling really bored. And so I asked Jen, what can I do when I'm bored? And she said to read a book. So I did. But the book that I read is a book that I really enjoyed. And I thought I'd read it to all of you. And it's perfect for the time right now. You see, I'd like to thank all these doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers during these difficult times right now. Alright, the book that I'm reading is called The Day Snuffy Had the Sniffles. Yes, it's a very good book. Oh, and how about that? It takes place on my favorite street in the world. Alright, let's begin. The Day Snuffy Had the Sniffles. Now, the book was written by Linda Lee Mayfair and illustrated by Tom Brandon, featuring Jim Henson's Sesame Street Muppets. Alright, let's begin. Oscar the Grouch popped out of his trash can just in time to see Big Bird skipping down Sesame Street.
"Go away, Bird,"
Oscar grumbled.
"all that cheerfulness will ruin my day. Besides, it's time to collect the trash. I'm too busy to talk to you." "That's okay, Oscar,"
said Big Bird.
"I'm in a big hurry to get to Snuffy's house so I can cheer him up. He has the sniffles." "Grouches don't know anything about cheering anybody up,"
said Oscar.
"but we know a lot about the sniffles. I have just the thing for you to take old Snufflenose. Wait here."
Before Big Bird could say anything, Oscar disappeared into his trash can, banging the lid shut behind him. Big Bird was waiting impatiently for Oscar when the Cookie Monster came along. "What the matter, Big Bird?" Cookie Monster asked. "Somebody eat all your cookies?"
"Worse than that,"
Big Bird said.
"Snuffy's got the sniffles and can't come out to play. I'm waiting for Oscar. He has a surprise for me to take to Snuffy."
"Cheer up, surprise," said Cookie Monster. "Wait here." He left in such a rush he nearly ran into Bert. As soon as Bert heard that Snuffy had the sniffles, he told Big Bird, "I know just the thing to cheer up a sniffly snuffleupagus. Wait here." He dashed into 123 Sesame Street before Big Bird could open his beak and say one word. I wonder what Bert and Cookie Monster are going to bring him. Hopefully nice things. Big Bird plopped down on the steps next to Oscar's trash can.
"At this rate, I'll never get to see Snuffy,"
he said. He tapped his foot. He stood up. He paced back and forth. He sat down. And then he did the same thing all over again. Sounds like Big Bird's getting a little impatient. Just when Big Bird decided he couldn't wait 1 second longer, Bert ran down the steps and handed him a large shoebox. Big Bird peeked inside. "It's my bottle cap collection," Bert said proudly. "You can lend it to Snuffy. It will give him something fascinating to look at while he's sick in bed. There's nothing more exciting than bottle caps, except maybe paper clips." Oh, that's different. He gave him bottle caps for Snuffy to look at. Something different, you know. Before Big Bird could answer, Cookie Monster came back, huffing and puffing. He held out a slightly dented cookie tin.
"Gee, thanks, Cookie,"
Big Bird said. He tugged at the lid.
"I just know Snuffy will enjoy all these cookie crumbs."
Cookie Monster shrugged. "Well," he said, "it's the thought that counts." He brushed the chocolate chips and cookie crumbs off his tummy. "Sure cheered me up," he said. Oh, looks like Cookie Monster couldn't wait and ate all the cookies. Just then, Oscar popped back up.
"Here, Bird,"
he said.
"This is the perfect thing for old Sniffy."
He placed a jar of something lumpy and green on top of the shoebox and cookie tin.
"It's an old Grouch family recipe, handed down from Grandpa Grouch to Mom Grouch. It's sure to cure even Snuffleupagus-sized sniffle. Sardine and sauerkraut soup,"
Oscar said. Big Bird and Cookie Monster held their noses. "Black," they said. "You'd better
Get a move on, Big Bird.
said Oscar,
Can't let that soup get too warm.
juggling the shoebox, the cookie tin, and the smelly grouch soup. Big Bird started off again. He was glad to be on his way to Snuffy's at last. He got as far as the library when he met Betty Lou. As soon as she heard where Big Bird was going, Betty Lou said,
I know just the thing to cheer up Snuffy. Come on.
Before Big Bird could make a peep, Betty Lou took him up the steps and into the library.
Everybody's sure in a hurry to make me wait,
said Big Bird. Looking around, finally Betty Lou came back. She balanced a thick book on top of Big Bird's bundles.
Here's an animal picture book for Snuffy to look at all by himself. And here's a monster story book for his mother to read him.
She piled an even thicker book on top of the first one.
There's nothing like a good book to cheer you up,
said Betty Lou. Well, I'm reading a book right now. Books do cheer you up. Big Bird's arms were so full he couldn't even wave goodbye to Betty Lou.
It's a good thing Snuffy's cave isn't far,
he said. What have you there, Big Bird? The Count called from his castle window. 1 shoebox, 1 tin, 1 jar, 2 books, wonderful. Big Bird told the Count why he was in a hurry. I have just the thing for your friend, the Count said. Wait here. After what seemed like hours to Big Bird, the Count came out of his castle and handed him a box of tissues. Snuffy can count them and count them
as much as he pleases, and they'll come in handy whenever he sneezes, said the Count. Crinkled and wrinkled tissues stuck out of the box. I counted them myself. There are 200 tissues. Said the Count. Big Bird tiptoed quietly past Gladys's barn. My, oh my, you have your hands full, said Gladys.
These are surprises for Snuffy,
Big Bird explained.
He has the sniffles. I've been trying all morning to go and cheer him up.
Well, any cow knows there's only one way to do that, Gladys said. Wait here.
Not again,
Big Bird said, but Gladys had already trotted into the barn. Gladys's cheer-up present turned out to be a pint of ice cream. It was getting soft and soggy in the noontime sun. Nothing puts you in a good mood like ice cream, Gladys said. Her bell tinkled as she balanced the squishy ice cream carton on top of the wrinkled tissues and the books and the jar and the empty cookie tin in the shoebox. Big Bird watched the sticky pink drops fall onto his toes. It's strawberry, Gladys explained. At last, Big Bird made it to Snuffy's cave without dropping a single present. He pushed open the front door with his foot. He had a terrible thought.
I brought all these presents for Snuffy and not a single one of them is from me. I forgot to bring Snuffy a present.
Big Bird sighed a deep sigh and shifted the slippery pile of presents.
I hope Snuffy won't be too disappointed,
he said. And there was Snuffy, propped up on a huge stuffed pillows on his Snuffleupagus-sized bed. On a tray in front of him was a glass of orange juice, a box of cough drops, a coloring book, and a box of crayons. Snuffy had an ice pack on his head and a thermometer sticking out of his mouth. Mrs. Snuffleupagus took the thermometer out of Snuffy's mouth and studied it for a moment.
No more fever,
she said. She took the bottle and measured the thick orange Sniffles medicine into a spoon. Snuffy swallowed it all. Mrs. Snuffleupagus gave him a big hug.
Cheer up, son,
she told him.
You'll be out of that bed in no time. Uh-oh,
Big Bird said. The cheer-up surprises were slipping from his grasp.
Achoo!
Snuffy sneezed a gigantic snuffle sneeze that rattled everything in the room. The presents crashed on the floor. Oh dear, said Mrs. Snuffleupagus. Big Bird stood in the doorway feeling sadder than ever. How could he cheer up Snuffy now? Snuffy blew his handkerchief on a handkerchief the size of a tablecloth. Then he smiled at Big Bird. Oh, Bird, he snuffled.
How did you guess what I wanted to cheer me up?
Big Bird stared at the mess on the floor.
What's that, Snuffy?
He asked.
The bottle caps, the cookie crumbs, the melted ice cream, or the sardine and sauerkraut soup?
No, Bird, said Snuffy.
A visit from you.
That cheered up Big Bird, too.